Welcome back to another strange and unusual episode of the Cult Crimes and Spirits podcast. I'm Nina.
And I'm Andrea.
Just wanted to make sure we said our names this time because we realized in the last episode we totally forgot to say our names. So, yeah.
No one knew who we were.
Yeah. I mean,
sorry about that, guys. If you're new, now you know.
Alright, so I love this type of episode because I don't know what Andrea is
going to
talk about. So we did separate research and let's get into it because I have a great one.
Let's get it started. Yeah, I want to hear. I've been itching. Let's go.
Okay, so this one it's kind of sad because I'm not like into the way that they like handled this because I don't like when any animals die. So warning.
Yeah. Gosh. But
Pluto. It has a pretty funny ending.
I had to give my cat a little pet there. Give him a little loving.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a little harsh, but it's got a great ending because you'll see.
Okay.
Okay, so have you ever heard of the Great Emu War?
No. But I know what an emu is.
Well, that's good. If you don't know what an emu is, it's kind of like an ostrich, but it's a different type of bird, but similar.
Yeah. Very long neck, and they like run the same way, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. They're really fast runners. So, in 1932, in Western Australia, the Great Emu War began. But I'm going to tell you a little bit of history of how we got there.
I would be scared. Like, emus are scary.
They kind of are. They're really big birds. They really are.
Big birds are scary.
So, like, in 1922, the Australian government changed the protected status of emus to that of vermin. So, like, they were, like, getting annoyed with emus because there was too many of them. So, instead of them being a protected species of Australia, they were now considered vermin. And this was because they were getting into, like, farmers, like, farms and, like, destroying all, like, the valuable crops, like wheat, that were really important. And the farmers during this time were already struggling because of the Great Depression. Like, it affected people worldwide. And they were just tired of the damn emus destroying everything.
Yeah, it sounds like the farmers were fed up. They had enough, so they were like, all right, emus are free game.
Yep.
Go get them.
And they actually were permitted to shoot the emus on site. Like, the farmers, the government gave them permission to shoot them on site. And the emus would migrate from, like, the outback to the ocean every year for, like, mating season or something. I don't know. And anyways, yeah.
They wanted to go by the ocean real quick. Well,
yeah.
Well, I can't. Real quick. Oh my
They're
goodness.
going on vacation. Anyways, during this, like, normal migration that they would do every year, in 1932, due to a drought, they ended up stopping off in western part of Australia in the Champion district. Once they stumbled upon food and water, they were like, we ain't gotta go no further. We got everything we need right here.
Yeah, they're set.
So about 20,000 emus.
That's a lot.
20,000 emus decided to kind of, like, chill in this area instead of moving on to, like, their normal spot. And a lot of the farmers that were in this area were former World War I veterans. So
they've seen some shit.
Yeah,
they've been through
seen
some stuff.
Shit. Yeah, and they were like, not about to let some emus
ruin the rest of my life.
Their crops.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, the farmers were permitted to shoot the emus on site, but the farmers, they didn't have enough bullets. They didn't have enough manpower for that. There was 20,000 emus. What are they supposed to do?
You would need a whole army.
Right. So they call in the government. They're like, let's see if they'll help us out. So the farmers get together, they contact the Australian government. The government's like, Yeah, okay. So in November of 1932, the government sends in 3 Royal Australian Artillery members, and they bring with them 10,000 bullets and 2 machine guns to take out these emus. Some heavy
10,000?
artillery.
Oof.
Yeah. So they think it's going to be super easy. They're just going to be able to take out these emus, no problem. They're just going to die. They're going to have it done in a few days, and
Yeah.
they're going to move on. Right? Wrong. They
Of
highly
course.
underestimated
It's
the
never
emus.
that easy, right?
No. So the first battle of this war took place on November 2nd when soldiers decided to open fire on about a group of 50 emus that were gathered. Well, naturally, when the bullets start flying, the emus start running. And
Yeah.
they kind of thought the emus would stay like all together and they would just die. Well, the emus took off in all kinds of different directions. And
Madness. Crazy.
yeah, they like scattered. And so like I said, they're fast runners. They can run up to like 30 miles per hour. And so they couldn't catch them because they're in all different directions. They're
hauling ass.
They're going super fast, yeah. So they can't keep up with them. So basically, the emus, most of them get away. So first battle lost.
Yep.
Point emus.
Yeah, 1 for almost said emos.
The emos.
1 point for the emos.
Yeah. But so the emus end up, getting away, most of them. And their skin, or like their hide, whatever you call it, is also kind of hard to pierce with a bullet. So like that also made them harder targets than anticipated.
I mean, that is sad that they're just shooting emus, but I didn't know about like their body being. I thought they were just fluffy feathered birds.
Now, apparently they had like pretty thick like hides and stuff. So like sometimes like if you did hit them, you'd have to hit them in the right spot or like multiple times before
so
they
kind
would,
of like a deer and a bird mixed together, or like a sheep and a bird or something.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just trying to think of what has hides and what has feathers, and like that's a bird, but it doesn't fly. So is it a bird?
Yeah, it's still considered a bird.
Okay, I don't know, but okay. Anyways, off topic. Back to what we were saying.
So the second battle of the war takes place a couple of days later. So the farmers decide to wait till about 1,000 emus had gathered at this watering hole to make their next attack. So they're like lying in wait, and once about 1,000 of them gather, they decide to open fire.
Time to attack.
Because you're gonna open fire on 1,000 emus, you couldn't do 50.
Yeah, they're gonna start running in opposite directions again.
So, like, how did you think of that? Maybe they thought if there was more of them, they could just they would take more of them out. I don't know.
If they had machine guns, I mean.
Right. So that's the thing. They had 2 machine guns. But when they decided to do this, one of the machine guns ended up getting jammed. So they only had 1 machine gun working, 1,000 emus running scared. And, needless to say, they didn't kill that many. And after about 3 days of this back and forth battle, only about 30 emus were actually dead. So not going so well for the
oh my
farmers.
Gosh, 30 out of 20,000.
This is why this story is so great. I'm like, hell yeah, emus.
Yeah.
Eventually, the farmers decided that they were going to start like chasing the emus on trucks. Like they were going to get in the back of their trucks.
I was about to ask, why hasn't anyone gotten into a vehicle, like either an army truck or their own personal truck? Because you can get up to 30, 40 miles an hour. Have someone on the back.
That's the thing. They thought they would be able to catch them like with the trucks and stuff. But because of the rugged terrain, they get out there and they realize they can't even get up to the speed of the emus because like
all the rocks and bumps and
they have a lot of obstacles. So the emus again get away. The operation was briefly halted for a few days due to bad press and bad performance.
Yeah, they lost all the battles.
Yeah. The farmers insisted on continuing the battle. And so the war resumed after a few days' break. And by December, just under 1,000 emus had been killed, with nearly all of the 10,000 bullets used. That's pretty bad record.
Yeah, they didn't do too good in that one. Something was looking out for those emus.
Mm-hmm. Look out. Yeah. So it's funny that you say that, because they said that they noticed the emus were realizing they were under attack, and there was literally like a lookout emu for like every group.
Oh, that's cool. So it would alert everyone.
Yeah.
Like,
so they were adapting. Yeah. They were adapting to this. And basically, due to public backlash because of it being very inhumane and way too expensive, the government decided to officially end the operation, and the emus won the war.
That's how it ends? The emus win?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Pretty much.
Nature won.
Yeah, and eventually the emus became protected species again, thanks to the
I was about to say, I think they're still protected.
Yeah, the Environmental Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act of 1999 made them protected again. So, but I just thought that's funny. It's sad that like 1,000 emus did die, but like, how funny is it that they beat the farmers? They outsmarted the farmers.
Yeah, that's really funny. And the fact that they started learning and adapting, and they had the guy, the one emu.
The emo.
I've done that twice. The one emu to alert the pack. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty smart. Like, they're pretty smart birds.
Yeah. That's a cool little story. I'd never heard of the emu war.
I know. My husband found some video about it, like, probably like a year ago. And I was like, it's been on my radar. I've wanted to cover it for a while. And I thought this was the perfect type of episode to cover that. It's a strange and unusual
you never know
in history.
What you're going to get.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah. All right. Your turn.
All right. So my first one is going to be just a little rapid fire strange facts. So we can go through a couple little things. So, did you know you can vomit shit if you have an intestinal blockage?
No.
Me either.
That sounds awful.
And now that's like a new fear. Like, that's so scary.
Oh my goodness.
You just like, ow.
Can you imagine?
Okay.
What's funny, my last fact has something to do with shit too. So.
We always kind of do this too. We like
not realizing it.
Yeah, and it like coexists somehow.
Yeah.
All right. Did you know that the average person walks by almost 16 murders in their lifetime?
No.
16 murderers. Like people out on the street that you walk by. The average person will walk by 16 of them.
No, I know what you meant. I was just like, no, I didn't know that.
I'm like, that's crazy. I wonder how many we walked by. Oh.
Yeah. We had one in our family, too.
I know. Let's not talk about that yet.
Story for another day.
Also, there are more than 150 corpses on Mount Everest. That came out
What the fuck? No. Again. One of my last thing has to do with Mount Everest.
Oh God!
Like what are the odds?
Okay, we'll get to more on that. Stay tuned later in the episode to find out more on Mount Everest.
Yes.
The Mutter Museum in Philadelphia displays mutations, tumors, and anomalies of human anatomy. So go check out the Mutter Museum.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that.
Me either, and I was like, oh, that sounds like a really cool place to check out.
Yeah, for the morbidly curious.
Yes, if you're into that, Philadelphia, there you go. You don't actually smell a dead, rotting animal. You taste the particles in the air.
Oh gosh, no. That's so bad. That's as bad as vomiting shit.
That one messed me up too. Especially coming from living in Virginia.
Yeah, there's lots of dead animals.
There's
everywhere.
Way more on the roads there than here.
Yeah.
Whew. Yep. Okay. There's also a disease called, I might butcher it, I'm sorry, Kuru? Kuru? I don't know. It causes uncontrollable laughing, and it's transmitted through cannibalism.
Wait, what? So if you eat another human, you could get this and just have uncontrollable laughter for the rest of your life?
Yeah. Or you can also get another disease called prion. It's like Prion. It's a very rare disease, but you get it from eating infected brain tissue.
From humans or animals?
I should have probably looked more into that, but I think either. But I'm assuming humans because of the cannibalism of like the uncontrollable laughter.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like if you eat an infected human brain, you might get that other disease.
Well, I don't plan on eating any humans, so I'm good.
But so this one also fucked me up. There's a condition that causes your hair follicles to turn into nail follicles.
Wait, what?
Like your hair follicles will turn into nail follicles.
So like your hair like just start growing nails?
Yeah, no one knows anything why or dead people fart after they pass away. Just let it out. It happens.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So my mom, she works in hospice, and she's told me quite a few stories of she has to help get the bodies ready for the funeral home to come pick up, because most of their patients die at home or in a nursing home. And but she travels to like either nursing homes or houses to take care of their patients, and she gets the bodies ready and cleaned up for the funeral home, and she has turned them over before, and yet they definitely pass gas sometimes, and she said it is rank sometimes.
It's pretty bad. Pretty bad. Yeah, okay, I think this is my last one. Oh no, wait, I have two more. People believe that there's a radio station in Russia that is haunted. The station UVB-76 broadcasts while static noise.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, and no one knows like where it comes from, and it's been doing it since 1982.
Yeah,
like that's a
weird
long
that they
time.
Can't track it. Yeah,
yeah,
and what's even static.
What's even weirder is when I was reading about it on this same website, they talked about Mike the Headless Chicken.
No, I love Mike.
And I was like, Mike!
Everything's connected somehow.
All right, this is my last one of this part 1 series. Have you heard of walking corpse syndrome?
No. It's like a zombie?
So it's a rare, like, neuropsychiatric disorder where individuals believe they are dead and have lost their organs or their soul, or they're in a state of existence. I
don't even know. Existensive.
They're just in a state of denial.
A crisis.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the causes are brain injury or tumors and strokes, or severe depression, and some psychiatric disorders. Treatment, there is some treatment. It's usually medications like antidepressants and antipsychotics and psychotherapy. But it is very dangerous because it leads to malnutrition, starvation, and suicide attempts because they feel like they're nothing. They withdraw and they have no relationships, and they lose their will.
They think they're already dead?
Yeah, and it's actual like syndrome.
I have not heard of that.
It's pretty sad.
That is depressing. Yeah.
But I was like, that's strange. Because they are like a walking corpse. Strange. That's how they feel. And I'm like, that's so
it kind of is like a zombie.
Yeah, almost in a way.
Yeah.
That was my part 1. Now what is your part 2?
Okay. So also you mentioned Mike the Headless Chicken.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know what we're talking about, we mentioned it in our Strange and Unusual Facts Part 1, which you can find. I don't know what episode number it is, but it's out there. I think it's like
it's 40.
39.
I think it's 40.
Oh, maybe 40, yeah. We just did it. It was like a couple episodes ago.
I'm going to check real quick, but we can keep going. But I think we're right though. Yeah, it was episode 40. Cool. Bam. Wham bam.
All right.
Steal the van.
Boom.
Fire in the hole.
I'll put a link below if you want to check out that episode. But my part 2 is a very strange and unusual series of events that lead to multiple deaths.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
It's very bizarre.
Okay.
And I've heard of some strange deaths because, like, me and my husband used to binge watch 1,000 Ways to Die. Do you remember that show?
Yes, I used to love it, but it terrified me at the same time.
Same. It opened up all new fears for me. But,
me too.
This is another one.
Oh gosh. No. Just put it on me. Just hit me with it.
All right. So in fall of 1988 in Buenos Aires, Argentina, there was a boy. What?
Because my next story is in my next story is in 1986, and I was like, oh, when you were reading it, I was like, what if it's the same thing? But it's not. So we're good. Okay.
No, 1988, Buenos Aires, Argentina. There's a boy playing an innocent game of fetch with his pet poodle Kachi on the 13th floor of an apartment building. The 13th floor.
Always the 13th.
The 13th floor, where the Montoya family lived. So, when Kachi the dog chases the ball to the open balcony door, the open doorway to the balcony, he somehow falls off the balcony.
Oh gosh.
And he goes
from the 13th floor.
Plummeting from the 13th floor. He doesn't land on the ground. Instead, he lands on the head of a 75-year-old lady named Marta Espina.
Just sitting there? Or walking?
Yeah, they both... Yeah, she was walking by, and the dog just fell on her head, and they both die on impact.
Oh, no. No.
Yeah, so another fear if you're walking by like a tall building.
That is so sad. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh,
it gets worse. You think that's bad? It gets worse.
Great. So, worse. Let's go.
Seeing this happen, obviously, there's a bunch of onlookers that are like, oh my gosh, and they run over to try to help, even though, I mean, obviously they were both already dead. But, I mean, that's got to be something crazy to see. So everybody starts running over to them. And in the process, one onlooker, being 46-year-old Edith Sola, rushed over to see if there was anything she could do to help and wasn't paying attention, ends up getting hit by an oncoming bus and dies.
As she's going to help the lady that just got a dog on her head from the 13th floor, she gets hit by a bus.
She gets hit by a bus and dies.
Is this dog cursed? Is something in this that's too weird?
Well, it did come from the 13th floor, but it's just a bizarre series of events, and that's not all.
Oh, of course. Let's go. Hit more. I want to know.
So, this poor guy, his name was not reported, but he sees both of these occurrences happen. He sees the dog fall on Marta. He sees Edith get hit by a bus, and it sends him into such a state. He ends up going into cardiac arrest and dying in the ambulance on the way to the hospital.
From shock. That's three people and a dog. Yeah, I was like trying to do that. I was like, wait. 3 people and a dog.
Like, that's like some Final Destination shit. Like,
that really is. Like, that's real life Final Destination.
It triggers this and this and this, and it's like, oh, look, what?
Is there more?
No, that's
okay.
It. But
I was like,
that's enough, right?
Did the ambulance end up like crashing or something because he died?
Not that I know of.
Whoa! What is happening?
Intense, though. Yeah.
Wow.
And I think the Montoya family ended up saying like they had just gotten some like work or something done to their balcony, so like something like must have
Faulty.
caused him. Yeah. But yeah, like what?
Yeah, what? That is so sad for
That
one dog, 3 people dead.
It's depressing. And it's like I'm not laughing, but it's like I'm not laughing at what happened, but like is it not like what the
No, it is. It is you're right, very Final Destination.
Yeah.
Oh my
Insane.
gosh. Whoa. Was that your second one? That was it?
That was it, yeah. That was
that was a good one, but I'm like, I want to hear more. I want to hear what else happened.
I know. I wish there was more details. I found a couple articles about it, and it was even featured on a TV show, which I'll put the link below. I forget the name of the TV show, but it's like one of those like unbelievable kind of things. I don't
know. Not unsolved mysteries, but unexplainable like that, stuff. Yeah. Well, my second one's a little more lighthearted, but there is some death, so it's kind of sad, but
always death.
It's called the Doomed Cleveland Balloon Fest in 1986.
I've not heard of this.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's YouTube's funny. Go check it out.
Okay.
It was hosted by horror host Lil Jon and Big Chuck. But I'll get into that later, more towards the end. So the Cleveland Balloon... Gosh, that's hard. The Cleveland Balloon Fest... Yes. This was a fundraiser by United Way, and they wanted to set a world record for releasing the most amount of helium-filled balloons at the same time. By that afternoon, the public square was filled with nearly 1.5 million balloons. Yes.
That's a lot of balloons.
Yeah, and they were all inflated by volunteers. So a bunch of people had to inflate 100.5 million balloons.
A lot of volunteers.
Yes. So some call it the largest balloon disaster. You can watch the documentary and videos of all of this. Like I said, it's on YouTube. And they really thought that releasing all these balloons would be such an uplifting, positive sight, and it would raise so much money for charity. But little did they know that chaos soon would ensue. Because after they released the balloons, at the same damn time, a fucking storm started to blow in. So instead of the balloons like floating away, like they were pushed back down, which they clogged up all the streets. They interfered with air traffic. They caused so many car accidents. Balloons, like they were everywhere, all over the city. But the worst part was, so a lot of balloons ended up over Lake Erie, and there was a like Coast Guard mission out, and they were on the hunt for these 2 missing fishermen, but the lake was so covered with balloons they like couldn't continue searching. But they later found the 2 missing fishermen's bodies, and those families had lawsuits ready.
So like did they die because of the balloons like coming down?
So I don't know if that caused them to die, but I know it hindered the Coast Guard in trying to find them.
The search.
Yeah. And it left Cleveland and all of its population to clean up millions of deflated balloons all over the city for days.
Oh my goodness.
But the host of there's a YouTube video where Lil Jon and Big Chuck are like hosting it, and I looked into them more because they're funny. And they were host of a sketch comedy horror movie. Like they would show late nights, they would show horror movies, or they would do like little sketch comedies. And it was a pretty big hit in the 80s in Cleveland.
That's pretty cool. I've never heard of them.
Pretty well known. Look it up. Yeah, check them out. They're pretty cool. I think they're funny. Some awesome. Of their skits were really funny to watch. Yeah, balloon disaster.
Me of, like Elvira or something, like hosting.
Yeah. Sucks that they were like, oh, yeah, we're gonna do this positive thing and let all these balloons in the air, and then backfired real quick.
I imagine like it probably affected some of the wildlife there too. Like, 'cause they were probably
Yeah,
like,
it
"What the
affected a
hell?" Or
lot.
that's
Silly
crazy.
balloons. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
it.
The whole time you were like talking about it, I just kept picturing that movie Up with the
Yeah,
house
the
and
guy.
the balloon.
Yeah.
Yep. But that was a good one. I hadn't heard of that.
Yeah. Check it out on YouTube. Watch some footage.
I will.
When you actually view with your own eyes the size of the amount of balloons and watching them be released, you're like, oh shit. Like, oh, that's a lot.
I wonder if when they released it, like before they started coming back down, if they were like, "Oh shit!" Like,
everyone was cheering. No, you can hear everyone being like, "Yeah!"
Oh.
Yeah, and then it's like, 5 minutes later, disaster starts. It's like crazy.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, I'm gonna watch that. Okay, so now onto my
yes, this will be our two last ones. Yeah, we're each gonna do our last ones this episode. So enjoy.
We're in the finale. So, like I said, Mount Everest.
Yes. If you've been paying attention, you know from the beginning, we're back to it. Let's go.
Yes, circling back around. Okay, so you mentioned that there are a lot of bodies.
150. Yeah, at least or more. Who knows now?
Yeah. I think there's like 300 bodies on 300 people have died trying to climb Mount Everest, but they've retrieved some of the bodies. So you're probably right on the number.
But some you can't get to. Like,
you
at
can't
all.
get
to.
It's
sad.
Too treacherous. And a lot of the bodies that can't be recovered are in this area of the mountain called Rainbow Valley.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Yeah, so it sounds like it would be a happy place.
Yeah,
Rainbow
beautiful.
Valley.
Water.
It's really
rainbows.
Yeah.
No.
In reality, it's just a graveyard for corpses. Yeah. On Mount Everest. It's called Rainbow Valley because I guess, which I imagine if you're climbing, you would want to use want to wear like colorful clothes so Pink, people could see you.
Teal, lime green. Yeah.
Bright colors. It's called that because like the corpses that are still there are covered in all these bright colored like mountain climbing clothes.
That's why it's rainbow. Okay.
Yeah. And you can see like all the bodies and stuff.
That's
I'm pretty
sad.
sure like you can see it like from like a helicopter. Like if you fly by like the area, like you could see it.
They're just frozen dead.
Yeah. So I don't know why anybody climbs mountains and stuff like this for fun.
I don't either. But
like I can think of a million other things that I would
each their own. I know people set goals with themselves, and I see people being like, "I'm gonna climb Mount Everest," and they do it or they don't. I don't know. I don't know if anyone succeeded.
Yeah,
I don't know much.
Have succeeded. Yeah, a lot of people.
But it's dangerous.
Have succeeded.
It's very dangerous.
Super dangerous. Mm-hmm. I think in 2015, 22 people alone died just in 2015 trying to climb Mount Everest. Yeah. So I got more facts about Mount Everest.
Yeah, let's go. Mount Everest facts.
Rainbow Valley, where that's at, is located in this area of the mountain called the Death Zone, and rightfully named.
Yes.
But the reason it's called that is because like the oxygen at that level gets so thin, and you have to have like literally additional oxygen to get through that part of the mountain. So they have to carry like I guess oxygen tanks and stuff with them,
which is heavy.
Like, yeah, that's like another thing to pack with you. But anyways, that's why it's called the Death Zone, because that's where a lot of the deaths happen, is because people are deprived of oxygen and they end up just
you can't do anything once you're out of air.
Yeah. And some people have like made it to the top and died on descent, but some people have never made it to the top. They die like trying to get up the mountain.
I think there was a movie that came out like years ago about this.
Probably.
I remember watching it at the beach because it was like raining outside and it was nighttime and we just put it on, and I feel like I remember them being like, all right, this next leg is hard. We're going to have to take our oxygen tanks out. And they were like struggling to just like move.
Yeah, I was like, what? Why? No, I'm not doing that by choice. No.
Then once you get to the top, you have to come back down.
Yeah. Which I think, you think coming back down would be easier. Because like when you go uphill, like coming downhill is like a lot easier. But yeah, there's like potential for avalanches. And then there's also like, you still got to go through that death zone. The oxygen's still thin. Like, so coming up or down, like it's still the death zone. Not to mention the fact that, you know, you could die. This climbing Mount Everest usually takes people on average like 5 to 6 weeks, because you have to like stop at certain points at these different camps and let your body like acclimate.
There you go. Yep. Yeah, you have to set up camp.
Yeah, and you have to like give yourself time to like for your body to adjust to get to the next level. And while you're making this potentially deadly trek up this mountain, you probably, if you're there for 5 or 6 weeks, you're gonna have to take a shit at some point.
Oh yeah, where do you shit? In the snow?
So if you're in the like different camps, if you're in the base camps, you they have these I don't know how to describe it. It sounded like a hole with a barrel underneath.
A trough?
Yeah, like a makeshift toilet, like a makeshift porta potty that you can take a shit in. But if you're in the process of climbing the mountain, you're just gonna have to shit on the mountain. And
like in your suit?
No, like, I mean, you can pull down the suit and take a dump. But
I thought it would like come out and freeze.
But yeah, I mean, the problem with it is the shit doesn't break down because the temperatures are so cold. And it's become such a problem in recent years that there's just all this literal shit on top of the mountain just there because it won't break down. So it's become such an issue that they now require you to buy a poo bag.
They're about to change it to Shit Mountain. That's going to be its new name.
So this poo bag
like
that you have to purchase. Yeah, you have to pick up like exactly like you would have to pick up after your dog. You have to pick up after yourself.
No.
And if you make it up this mountain and you get all the way back down, when you leave the mountain, they have to check your poo bag to make sure you're taking your shit with you. Literally.
Okay, imagine being like the person who is the shit checker. Like, excuse me, I see you're coming down from Mount Everest. Can I check your shit bag?
Yeah.
Alright, you're good.
That's gotta be worse
disgusting.
than I wonder if like TSA at an airport.
I wonder if it smells. You know, because it's so cold.
Yeah. They said like it has like the mountain has started to smell like that. That was like part of the problem too. Yeah, so I guess even with it being so cold, with so much of it up there, it still smells.
Great.
Yeah,
they're ruining Mount Everest with their shit.
Yeah. Well, now they have to buy poo bags. So hopefully it will.
Yeah, you hear that, hikers? If you're going, you better purchase your poo bags before you go.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And in addition to poo bags, depending on the time of year that you go to Mount Everest, the insurance, the travel expenses, the equipment, the money you have to spend on guides to help you up the mountain, and the permits that the Nepal government requires you to have, because you can't just show up and climb Mount Everest. You have to have a permit.
This is so much work to go die.
You have a bunch of stuff you have to do before you can even get to the climb. And then you might die during the climb. You have to take your poo off the mountain. I mean, this is a lot of steps.
What if you're like, okay, cool, I have a great guide, and then halfway up the mountain your guide dies?
I mean, usually I don't think the guides they know when to stop.
Hopefully.
They're the ones that tell you when to
okay.
back off.
So they're like, it's time to make camp for 3 days. We'll continue then.
Yeah. But with all of that stuff that you have to have, it on average can cost you up to $40,000 to try to climb Mount Everest. Yeah.
You're paying,
I'm sure there are people that can do it cheaper, but that's like an average cost.
You're paying almost half a $100,000 to go die.
Yeah. To potentially die. Like, if I'm gonna pay $40,000 to maybe die, it better be on a beach with a martini in my hand.
Yeah.
Like,
for real.
Hello.
Somewhere relaxing, not where I'm freezing and picking up my shit with a bag.
Yeah, like, that's the last thing I ever did was pick up my shit and put it in a bag.
I ran out of oxygen. Ended up in Rainbow Valley.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry.
Like, why?
No, that's not my cup of tea, but hats off to all of you hikers.
Yeah, I'm not making fun of you because you have more power than me. You're braver than me.
Strong as a motherfucker.
Yeah. But there's some cool, maybe paranormal stuff going on the mountain as well. So the Yeti may exist on Mount Everest.
I wonder if anyone's seen them. Yeah.
Well, for years, people have claimed to see what they believe is the Yeti or the abominable snowman in the Himalayan mountains, including Mount Everest. And in the fall of 1951, there was these English mountaineers, Eric Shipton and Dr. Michael Ward, and they were on an expedition on Mount Everest to discover possible routes to reach the summit from Nepal. And at around 16,000 feet, they discovered some rather large footprints in the snow. And they didn't have anything to properly measure the footprints with, so they used what they had on hand, which was an ice pick, a backpack, and Ward's left boot. So they took pictures with those items next to the footprint to give people an idea of the size when they got back. And when they returned to Britain, the photos sparked a lot of interest and a lot of criticism. So, monster hunters and cryptozoologists, they were excited. They were like, this is possible real evidence of the Yeti that people have been seeing for years.
That would be so exciting.
And then other people, right? And then other people were like, nah, it's a hoax. They staged it. It's not real.
They did this.
Yeah, fake news.
Yeah.
So
I think we deal with that still nowadays with Bigfoot and everything.
Oh, 100%. I feel like some evidence is real and people's sightings are legit, but then there's other people that just fake it.
Yeah.
But Ward, Dr. Michael Ward, he even suggested that maybe the footprints were human, with just like somebody, a local that had an abnormality with their feet, that because there were sometimes some kind of abnormality that could cause your feet to be wider and bigger. So he thought maybe it was just maybe it was a human, just somebody with abnormally large feet. So he wasn't even trying to say it was the Yeti. He was just like, this is unusual.
Look at the size of this foot. What is this?
Yeah. And I'll try to post a link to the article, because there's the pictures in there, and you can see, I mean, it's the foot, it looks like a regular footprint. It's a little bit longer than normal feet, but the width, how wide they are, is what's really captivating. Yeah.
Throw a pic in there.
I will. Also, many people have claimed to not just see the Yeti on Mount Everest, but ghosts and potentially UFOs.
Ooh, so aliens are involved too.
Maybe. But a lot of people think that it's you're not seeing anything, that it's just because in certain areas the oxygen is so thin that you're hallucinating, and you're just thinking that you're seeing something.
You're just going a little Delulu, a little cray-cray.
Yeah, which is totally possible, but at the same time, with all the bodies that are on Mount Everest, it could be ghosts.
Yeah, but also it's very snowy and white, and you could like be half out of it and see like snow going everywhere and thinking it could be like a person. Yeah.
It's got to be really disorienting up there, especially when the weather is really bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's some strange facts about Mount Everest. I didn't realize that.
I'll never forget about the poop bags. That's burned in.
That's like the best part.
Yeah.
I was just like reading this and I was like, wait, what?
Poop Everest? That's what it's called now? Mount Shit Everest?
But yeah, that's my strange
That was
facts.
great. That was great. And I love how we both talked about Mount Everest and we didn't know it, but it wasn't the same thing. So that's crazy.
No, and just it's so weird. Every time we do the episodes like this, somehow it connects.
Yeah, I love it though. All right. Time for my last and final strange facts. Well, this is a story. Have you ever heard of Joseph Fritzl?
Was he a serial killer?
No, he's evil, but I'll tell you about him. This is going to be a story of prolonged captivity and abuse, and it didn't come to light. And
now
I
know. Yeah, now I know what you're talking about. I know that.
Yeah, me and my boyfriend, he told me about this, and we had a conversation.
He's an evil guy.
Very evil.
Yeah.
That got caught in 2008 for his evil shit. But I'll tell you what he did. Slightly, very vague, not getting into like super detailed story of this, but he basically held his daughter Elizabeth captive in a cellar in their basement for 24 years. And she was a beautiful girl. Like, I saw a picture of her when she was 18, and I was like, she is so pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw a picture of Joseph, and he looks completely evil and negative, and I was like, ew, how did you create that? Gross. What the hell? Anyways, Elizabeth apparently went missing in 1984 around the age of 18, and this is when her father had used a rag soaked in ether to knock her unconscious and keep her in the basement. So it's even more fucked up because her father's the one that went and filed the missing persons report, but the police officer told him that she was over 18, so she can basically do whatever she wants.
I didn't know that he did that. That's really deranged.
Evil as fuck. Like, you know where she is. What are you doing? Yeah. Anyway, so another fucked up thing he did, he would make Elizabeth write letters to her mother saying things like she just needed some time away from home, and he would go and get these posted at different places around, like different towns. So the mom would think, oh, she just sent me a letter from a nearby town.
Oh my goodness. He put effort into trying to conceal this.
And neighbors were getting concerned, so he just told the neighbors that Elizabeth left to go join a cult.
Oh my goodness.
But unfortunately, Elizabeth did go through unspeakable physical, mental, and emotional abuse from her father. He had a very heavy metal door behind a workspace that he had, and he had installed a keyless entry secret code, and he only knew it. And he told Elizabeth that door was electrified, so she was scared, like if she tried to escape, she would be electrocuted and die. So during this time, he ended up fathering 5 to 7 children with her. One died. And it's fucked up because some of the children were left in the cellar with Elizabeth, but then he would bring some of them upstairs to live with him and his wife.
So is his wife...
she had no idea what was going on.
How is he explaining the kids that he did just randomly bring?
I tried to look more into that, but my boyfriend told me he had heard through a story of this that he told his wife that he randomly found this kid at some store in town, and he was like, I feel so bad, I found this, it was in a stoop in a basket, I don't know what we should do. And the wife missing her daughter. She's like, oh, we'll raise it. We'll take care of it. So they ended up letting, I think 3 or 4 of the children live up with them, and then the rest were down in the basement. But
That's crazy.
Everything took a turn when one of the children became very ill and they needed to go to the hospital for treatment. And Elizabeth was 42 years old. She had gone through all of this stuff with her evil father for 20 years. And luckily, he ended up being arrested and getting a life sentence for incest, rape, false imprisonment, enslavement, and neglect homicide of one of the infant sons that passed away. He is known his name is known as the Monster of, I can't pronounce this, but I think it's Amstetten. It's a northern Austrian town where everything went down. But
that's crazy.
If you want to know more about what makes evil people like this tick and think and all the early childhood traumas, there's a couple books I found on him that go into like his childhood, his teenage, because I was seeing that he had arrest records in his young adulthood for SA and like kidnapping.
So he had a history.
Yes.
Yeah. I would imagine like you don't just jump into doing that, you know, that you have something leading up to it.
He's also very sick because in one of the book passages it was saying like he knew what he was doing was wrong, but he just got this like kick off of it, so he just kept going and going and doing more and doing more. And I'm just like,
disgusting. Ew. Like the fact that
that's your
like,
daughter. Ew.
Yeah, you find your daughter attractive and want to keep her captive and
5 kids, 5 to 6. Her. It was like 5, 6, or 7 kids. I couldn't. Each place insane. Said a different number, but at least 5, and 1 died.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I didn't even have words for that.
I know.
I'm glad that she got out, but can you imagine? Like the best years of your life were spent being abused.
That's awful. I was talking to my boyfriend about that earlier today before, because I was telling him we were recording and I was going to do this story. And he said he thinks nowadays she's in like protective custody. So you can't really find her, you can't really talk to her, like, which I'm like, that's good. I would want to be. Yeah. Like, that's scary.
A lot of people, like reporters and stuff, would probably be like hounding her, trying to get her to like talk to them and tell her story when she probably just wants to be left the fuck alone. Like,
yeah. But like I said, there's way more details to the story. There's way more. I just tried to condense it into like a paragraph and a half. But it's a messed up one. If you want to know more, look up the Joseph Fritzl story.
Ugh. What a horrible person.
For real. But that's how it ends.
That's how it ends. It's kind of a depressing one to end on.
I'm sorry. But maybe I should have
No. It's actually good because she escaped and
she did.
She's out there alive. Living her life now.
Yes. And he's in jail.
Actually, that is
probably dead.
A good one to end on.
Yes. She prevailed.
Yeah.
Sick freak of a father. He rots.
That's insane.
That's how it goes.
But yeah, we did the damn thing.
Yeah, we did it. We did it.
We did it.
And this one isn't as long as last week's, guys. And I forgot to mention in the beginning, I'm getting over a cold. So I'm a little congested, a little stuffy.
I can still hear it a little bit, but not bad.
Yeah, it was way worse. But sorry, guys. Next week. Oh, darn it. Next episode will be better. I'll be healthier.
Yeah. So, stick with us.
Stay spooky.
We're still doing the damn thing. Stay spooky.
Outro. Stay spooky.